They're also number 1 and 2 in touchdown interception ratio as the only teams with at least as many picks as touchdowns allowed. Marcus, what will you be watching in this matchup? This is a really good, interesting game.
Yeah. There is no secret to what the Houston Texans defense is, which is why I think Justin Herbert's legs is going to have to be a big part of what the Chargers have the ability to do from an offensive standpoint. And if he's real decisive in taking off, and I know the hand injury, but even when we were there in LA a few weeks ago, y'all, he decided to pull the ball down and run the football. We know what this pass rush is like with Will Anderson and Danielle Hunter, and this team comes up and hits. So I want Justin Herbert to get down after he gets his yardage. But there will be these critical third downs that happen. There will be the times where he obviously has to use his arm, but there'll be times where Derek Stingley and Lassiter will take things away, and Justin Herbert may have to pull it down and go get some yardage with his legs. I want to see how impactful that is as the game goes throughout.
Swagger, that's a great point because every team I talk to after they play Houston, they say the same thing, that we are beat dang up. They are the most physical team in the league. Every team says that. And so that's what's fascinating about this matchup because how much is Herbert going to run knowing that Houston doesn't really feel like they have to blitz a whole lot because they have those 2 elite pass rushers that come off the edge. And so Herbert, if he's tempted to run, they're just going to wait for him and then they're going to hit him 4 or 5 yards downfield with no problem. So he's had the hand injury issue. He's played beat up. We know he's tough, but how tough is he going to have to be to get through this game?
Yeah, it's not a matter of how tough Justin Herbert is. Obviously, we know the guy is as tough as it comes, but the big thing is how much violence should he be exposed to at this point in the season? And this is where the Chargers, I've been talking about all these other teams that are in these like weird situations where it's like it would be good for you to win, but like you kind of don't need to, but like it can help because they can kind of help with seeding, et cetera, et cetera. The Chargers are in a real position to still win the division. They control their destiny to win the division, get a home field advantage in the playoffs, and you know it goes a long way. And if there's any type of upsets in the Wildered round, you can find yourself with another home field game. Like it's an interesting spot for them. It's not like they're really firmly rooted in the wild card where you're just kind of talking about like 5, 6, 7. You're like, yeah, is there a real big difference between 5 and 6 or 6 and 7? Like they can actually genuinely win the division. But the thing is that you win this game as well. Then it also reinforces that you're then going to want to play that final game of the season pretty hard, or hard enough, I suppose. But on the other flip side, it's like, what's more important though? Home field advantage and winning the division or resting up, right? Making sure that everyone is as healthy and as strong as possible. So this game just ends up being really interesting for the Chargers because the Texans want to win, the Chargers want to win. Like there is legit stakes here, and like I said, especially for the Chargers, winning the division and having home field advantage, like it is helpful. It's certainly helpful. And you'd probably be looking at the 3 seed most likely, and I guess I shouldn't even say most likely. I don't even want to go that far. Probably the 2 or 3 seed is you probably can't get the 1 seed. That would probably go to the Patriots in terms of just like the win distribution. But I don't know. It depends on who you want to then face in the playoffs because there's the argument that a lot of people are making, and I understand it conceptually, that the Steelers Chargers are both each other's best chance at winning a playoff game. That they're both the easier team to play because of the construction of their team, specifically the injuries to the O-line and just the liability that the Chargers have with the offensive line. And again, I understand that, honestly. I that's what any Chargers fan, like that's going to be their concern going into the playoffs, going into any game is, can we protect our quarterback, right? Will that ultimately be our end? And it's a justifiable concern, undeniable. Just think about going into this game, the whole talk is like, can Justin Herbert survive this, right? Like that's what it comes down to, and that's what's so exciting about this game. And I talked about this a little bit yesterday where it's like Colin Cowherd, for instance, doesn't even have them in the top 10 for his herd hierarchy. You win this game, you can justify saying that this team is like top 5. this team has just like they have all the momentum in the world and justifiable to win a Super Bowl as any of these other top teams. You stand the test time against this defense that matters. Now, to be fair, if the Texans offense is just terrible and CJ Stroud is like throwing like a whole bunch of interception, kind of like a similar game to what you saw against the Philadelphia Eagles in a way, I'll be less impressed with that to a degree, because then you're given a lot of gifts from the offense, and I just want to be able, from the opposing offense. I want to be able to see the Chargers offense survive this defense with because they just have to, right? Because you're not going to expect that you're going to go up against like the Bills, the Jags, the Broncos or whatever and get a boatload of turnovers or just like exceptionally poor offensive play like you got with the Philadelphia Eagles in that overtime win. Again, still a great overtime win and all of that. But to me, I'm looking at this game as like the ultimate barometer game. And it's like, I just want to see what the Chargers offense looks like against this elite defense. It's funny because, Jeremy was talking about how anytime you talk to anyone about after they play them is that they're all beat up. And that's why I kept saying this Texans defense is violent. They are violent. They are there to cause. And if you're a football fan, it's awesome to watch. It really is. They just go so hard. And they're just ready to play, man. They're just ready to play. And so a game like this, I really think we will learn a ton about what can this offense do right now. What can this offense do against an elite defense, a defense that is playing their best football? What can the Chargers do? And if we like the answers there, then there would be zero reason to doubt them to put any type of cap of I don't know. Can they really beat the Patriot? Can they really beat the Bronc? I don't know. It's like, nope, they are right there with everyone else. Yep, they got some issues. Yep, you got some concerns, but you can say that about all the other teams in the playoffs as well. Just add the Chargers to the list. Would you like the 49ers defense to be better? Would you like the Chargers offensive line to be better? Would you like the Texans offense to be better? Would you like the et cetera to be better? The Bills defense to be better? Yep. But every team's got kind of a little bit of a kryptonite issue going on. And it's just who will be able to mitigate it and minimize it in the playoffs. And this is the first example of that truly for the Chargers. But like I said, I'm just curious. I just wonder how much they lay it all on the line for this game because it is just a couple weeks before the actual playoffs. And, you certainly don't want Justin Herbert to get injured or anything like that. But Snorts just in general of getting beat up and making sure you're as physically as strong and healthy as you can. That might be you might just not really be concerned as much with home field advantage for the first round of the playoffs or winning the division and just being like, what, we'll take the 5 seed, we'll play the Steelers, we're okay with that. Although you lose this game, you now will lose a tiebreaker to the Texans as well. And so that then puts you in a tough spot though from the perspective of getting the 5 seed. Then you kind of look at yourself as now potentially with the 6 seed. And again, maybe now even the 7 seed. And so you kind of just have to then look at all those various matchups. So there's really no easy answer right now. I kind of made a similar video with the Eagles, although it's different because at least the Eagles have won the division. And so, their seeding is a little bit more set in stone, but it is just kind of this balance of just trying to figure out what's the most important thing for your team. And outside of the generic, well, we want to be rested and healthy. Yeah, I get that, but it's not like you're just going to shut everyone down for the next 2 weeks, right? That's obviously not the plan either. And so it's kind of nuanced, and I just don't think we have the real answers as to what's best for these teams or what the coaching philosophy is around this sort of thing. I feel like we kind of got a decent sense of which coaches like to play their starters in pre-season and how hard they like to go in practices and in terms of camps and whatnot. Whereas training camps, whereas like this part of the season, I don't think we have an answer. It's just I don't know. We know Sean McVay, and this is the main reference point that I always use because it's pretty clear. Sean McVay was like, I do not care about seeding. Last year was like, don't care about seeding. We're arresting everyone, right? Like we're arresting everyone. And the Ravens needed to kind of play to, I think, officially to lock up the division last year, final game of the season. Zay Flowers gets injured, and that had true devastating consequences in their playoffs. Yeah, they beat the Steelers, but like then they had to play the Bills without Zay. Like that was their wide receiver one. That was their Pro Bowler receiver. That's a big loss. That is a legitimately big loss. It's not kind of like we lost our tight end. Like no, like he was your main passing weapon in that offense that they did not have in the playoffs. That ends up being a devastating loss and has pretty big consequences. And so it's just a weird time. It's a weird time where the Chargers both have something legitimate to play for, but also how much does it matter? I don't know. I'd love to hear like actual non-guarded comments, right? Like not like public comments from like the into the media from like Herbert or Harbaugh, because you're always going to get like pretty filtered comments in that regard. I want to hear what Harbaugh says to the coaches behind closed doors, right? Like I want to hear Herbert's and Harbaugh's conversation about like, what's important to them, right? Is winning the division important? Is getting home field advantage important? Do you kind of want a more favorable first round matchup to try to build some momentum, or are you just kind of like, nope, doesn't matter? Like I'd love to know, because I just, at the end of the day, I don't think there's any easy answer. So I'm just kind of looking at it through the lens of like, these are two teams that want to win, that are going to be trying as hard as they can to win. And so, if that ends up being the case, then, break down the game accordingly, according to that. And I just think this will be a big game for the Chargers to really figure out what can they do in the playoffs. How much, how much can Justin Herbert continue to survive against great defenses with an O-line that is just not quite up to par. But those are just my thoughts. And again, I guess I want to emphasize, like, it's not a matter of just actually winning and losing this game, because I even if the Chargers defense lays an egg and it's just terrible and TJ torches them, it's like doesn't tell me anything, because I know their defense is great. So it's just like, nah, that was just a bad game. Like I'm just specifically want to see the quality of the offense from the Chargers going up against this defense more than anything. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the San Diego Los Angeles Chargers taking on the Houston Texans? Kind of, what's needed from both teams going into this game, and kind of how this should all kind of unfold. And, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I read every single comment, so you agree with me or disagree with me. Either way, let's get in some discussions, let's get in some fights, but ultimately let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We're building an amazing community here, and absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.